Hello and welcome back to the Craft Kitchen. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you're new here, my name is Tina and this channel is mostly about junk journaling. Recently I've been told, but Tina, this journal is not grungy at all and your videos are kind of boring. Well, yeah, partly they're right. It is not kind of grungy yet. Well, the papers already are. This isn't. And yeah, for some of you the videos might seem boring, but actually I've had to find out all this by viewing hundreds, literally hundreds of videos and learning this from that video and that from this video and so on and so on. So I've made many mistakes on my journey and I've found a method to bind a book that works for me. This includes, so sorry, mathematics, calculations, measuring, knowing what you want to do 2 steps ahead. That's the way it is. Of course, you can just put together your signatures and your cover, but in my experience, there are still tiny little things that are preventing the journal from actually working as a book. In this video, we are going to make the inner spine piece for our signatures to be sewed on, and yes, this will include many mathematics, but I do have a compensation for your patience. This fall-like marketplace scenery will be the end papers. I will cut this in half, yeah, the end papers for my book. And you can download this and also a sheet with fuzzy cuts and a kind of postcard or journaling card, whatever you want to do with it, in my coffee shop for free. Yep, another freebie themed for the autumn journal. So let's go ahead and make the inner spine piece for the signatures. For the autumn journal, I'm going to make a hidden spine, which means I'm not going to sew my signatures through the outer spine piece, but make another inner spine piece on which I will sew them on. So I still do have here the measurements from the last video, in which I've shown you how to calculate your width of your spine. And now I'm using these measurements to create a template for poking the holes so that the signatures will be evenly sewn in. I like to use grass paper to make a template because it's much easier this way. So let's see, I need a page of a signature. There. We know we want 4 centimeters in width. And here the easy part already starts. So one of these squares is 1/2 centimeter in width and height, of course. So I do need 8 for 4 centimeters, which would be here. So I'm just going to cut at my 4 centimeter mark. And these squares are not fully printed on my page, so I'm just cutting them off so that I have the full squares at least on 3 sides. So this would be the height of our cover, of our spine, but we actually need the height of our signatures. Remember, the signatures are 2 millimeters shorter head and tail than the cover boards. So I'm just marking this here and cut my template to the exact same height as my signatures are. Let me show you this. Stay. This is the template, and it's 2 millimeters shorter head and tail, top and bottom, and it has exactly the same width as my outer spine. Now I'm showing you how to find your poking points for marking your stitch holes. So first things first, we do have an odd number of signatures, in this case 3. This would also work with 5 or 7. This method doesn't work with 2, 4, 6 signatures, only with an odd number. So I already know I do want my first signature to be in the middle. So I'm just folding over the paper in the middle lengthwise, and because I'm using graph paper, I just can line up the lines on here and we'll have an exact fold. There you go. Let me mark this for you. This is our first fold. Oh, I forgot. Of course, you see this down here. This is approximately 1 millimeter longer than the top side. So I'm just writing top here. You could also make an arrow. Now I do have the middle fold, and now we want to know where to put the next signatures. So by now this seems like this part here is way too wide to go like here for the next signature, but you have to consider that your signature has its own width. We have a measurement of 0.5 centimeter in width for each signature, and we do want 0.7 centimeters in between. I've rounded this afterwards. This would be 0.75 centimeters. So this means if we do want this 0.5 centimeters, oh yeah, now it's getting complicated, between our signatures, we would end here with the next signature, and also on the other side the next signature would be sewed in somewhere like here. So now this signature is exactly 0 millimeters in width and then we do have the next. So we have to consider this, which means, let me erase these points. The middle signature is about yay wide. This is approximately half a centimeter. And now we do want 0.75 centimeters towards the next signature, which also does have 0.5 centimeters in width. So if we divide this, we have the middle of our sewing point, which is 0.25 centimeters, added to the space we do want between the signatures, makes it 1 centimeter, which would lead us somewhere here, right? There. But this would make the folding way too complicated, so we're just cheating the tiniest bit and placing our fold about here in the middle. This is the distance we definitely do need from our first signature to the cover board, and 0.25 centimeters inwards to the middle will be the middle of this signature. So I'm folding this over and again folding it, trying to find the middle of my squares, like so. Again, lining the horizontal lines on here, up, there you go. Again, marking this for you so you can see it better. I'm back again. My granddaughter just had to visit me on her way back up. So we do have our folds, the markings for where the signatures has to be sewed in, but we still don't know where to poke the holes. Since my pages are 21.1 centimeters long, let me see, this would be 8 3/4 inches in height. I'm going to use a 5-hole pamphlet stitch for this, because this seems way sturdier to me. Anyway, doesn't matter if 3 holes or 5 holes. We're going to be making the first fold in the middle, lengthwise. This is our middle stitch right here, there. And then, of course, we don't want the markings for top and bottom to be exactly here, but this would be no use, right? So I'm thinking I'm going with a distance of 1.25 centimeters from top and bottom to my first hole. For this, I'm folding my template lengthwise again in the middle, like so, and then I'm using my top part where I've cut the squares to size and just fold here on 1.25 millimeters, roughly, without measuring, because we do have half a centimeter, another half a centimeter makes 1 centimeter. This here would be another half a centimeter, but because we're taking just half of this square, we do have 1/4 of a centimeter, which means we do have 1.25 centimeters from the top and the bottom. Again, marking this there. You know, this seems to be a lot of mathematics right now, but it is just because I'm explaining it. If you're doing this for your signatures, you will be way faster than I am right now. So this would be a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, see? And because this gap from the first and the middle stitch is way too long for my liking, let me show you. These are 9.25 centimeters, and here we do have 3.7 inches, which is way too long, and the sewing would be kind of wobbly. So I'm just again folding my template in. Let me fold this to the inside. So we do have this folding in the middle, and then again by holding it really tight, just folding the bottom to the top lengthwise. Straight would be nice. Yeah, we do have a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, and these crossings I've marked are the parts where we are going to poke the holes in our not yet ready inside spine piece. For the inner spine piece, I'm just using a piece of my cardstock envelope. I've made the cover itself with and again doubling it. I'm not using the double-sided tape for this because, like I told you, it could be the glue will become liquid and seep through at one point, stains, etc. Yeah, there we have it, the inner spine piece. There, doubled cardboard, much more sturdier, and the template we've made just fits on here, like so. But, another but, when the signatures are sewed on, we don't want to glue this part directly to the outer spine piece. Why? I'll show you. I do have a thin hardcover book here, just to demonstrate. Doesn't matter if it's a thick or thin spine. So when you open your book, like so, the end papers are glued in and holding the book block, who are you, in the cover. So if you'd glue everything to the spine, this means you could open your journal, in this case, maybe like this. Because, I'll show you, when you open this, the outer spine, there you can see, can move away from the inner spine. Here it's just glued together, but there's movement. See? So these parts, this and this, the shoulders here, won't break when you try to open this properly. Because, like I told you, if you try to open this and the spine would stay on here, you might end up with something like this, but only if this tiny part here, the shoulder, isn't glued. So, same for paper bags there. Even there, if sometimes you can't see it, the spine is not glued to the book block. There. It's only held by the end sheets. Here we do have the end paper, and there we do have the end sheet. Yeah, you can pull. This is glued on here. This is what is holding the book. So we don't have these end sheets. We do have the end paper itself for covering the inner side of the book cover, but we don't have this sheet, this page that is glued to the first page of our book block. It's not exactly a book block, will be something like this. So to solve this, and this is where the grunge starts, yay, I told you so, I've prepared a piece of fabric that is a tiny bit higher than my spine piece, because I do want the fringes to be shown on the outside of my cover, and only these parts, these two edges, will be glued on to the cover. This part of my inner spine piece, I will put glue onto it, yeah, when the signatures are sewn in, to reinforce the binding. But I will not glue this onto the outer spine, so I will have some kind of movement. So first I'm going to glue this on. This is the front, this is the back. I'm going to glue my spine piece onto my fabric. Yeah, I'm using fabric glue for this because I assume this won't be that hard afterwards. So this is not quite dry yet, but doesn't matter. I've glued on the inner spine piece to my fabric there, and now I'm placing I'm placing my template in here, on here, sorry. It's easiest when there's no fabric in the way. Yeah, there. And clipping it on, so it definitely will stay. Ooh. Now I'm just using my awl and a, oh no, we don't want the fabric to be tucked underneath. Of course we don't want to. Come on. One and the other side. So just folding this open again. and yeah, just clipping on here. So and now I'm using my awl, my poking tool, whatever you want to use for this, and I just lay a book block underneath. You could use what's it called, corrugated cardboard for this. You could use some foam or some styrofoam or whatever you may want to use. To not poke your mat or your table. So if you do have a fabric where these holes are difficult to see on, I'm lucky, mine are very well visible. Just leave one side clipped on, fold your template over, and then just use a dark or light marker to just push in your pen or pencil, and then you will have a slight colored hole in here, on here. There you go. So here again the paper clip mark. On the back side I'm just using my awl again to just widen my holes on the back side a bit. To sew on my signatures I always use waxed thread, because the wax coat is preventing the thread from getting stuck at the paper and ripping it too much. There will be the tiniest bit ripping, of course, but when you're using a blank thread, let's say cotton or linen or whatever, it is way rougher than the paper and will just tear it, yeah, like a file would, right? Before I forget this, yes, I do have the height of my signature, but it is still not even on this side. And this doesn't matter yet, because you may see this, yeah, there you can see it. All the pages are folded and then tucked onto each other. So if you press down the folds to the edge, you may have something like this, but actually when you've sewn your signatures to the spine piece, only then you can see how much is left here. So I do let this open for now, and I'm just marking where my signatures have to go. So first you make sure everything is the right way up, and if you do have pages that are uneven in height, make sure they're all at the right position. There, yes. So I'm just taking my signature loosely, in this case in my left hand because I'm right-handed, placing my metal ruler because it has some sort of weight in the middle, closing it loosely, and then just knock the folds down onto each other. Close it. There. The folds are very close to one another. Again. And now I'm very carefully clipping my signature top and bottom there. So when I open it, it won't move that much, but I do not want to open it. I actually forgot to get my paper clips, so I'm also clipping these ends together so that I can open the signature without moving the fold. Because, let me show you, when I open it, there the folds are moving apart, and I don't want this to happen, so I just clip all the pages together like so. Yeah, should look something like that. Yeah. So now you have two ways to mark your signature punch holes. This doesn't fit at all down here. So again, let me see. Yeah, way better. You could lay this in here. Let me get this out of the way. There. Very, very close to the fold, and of course aligned top and bottom. Check this, and then you can clip this on and just take your poking tool and poke through here. There. At this line, this would be the second, and just poke. But I'm using a way easier method. I'm just folding this in the middle, like so, placing the template fold to fold to the signature, to the fold of the signature, clipping this on there. Maybe we're doing this at the bottom too. There you go. And now I can just place, let me see if you can see this. I have to close it. Place my awl at the crossing point, close my signature and poke right through it. There you can see. Same for the other 4 holes. Closing it and carefully poking a hole. So now we do have 5 holes there. You will need loads of paper clips for this. 3 signatures, 4 paper clips each. This is 12. So I'm just using my big paper clips. Oh, yeah. Maybe I'm using them to hold my signatures together and remove these tight paper clips, because I'm going to be needing them for the other signatures. There. And you don't want to shake or throw your signatures until you have sewed them onto your spine piece, so nothing can move in here. Marking this again, and then I'm preparing the other two signatures. Before we are gonna be sewing them, I want to poke the holes from the other side, again from the outside, so the hole is more visible, because we will have to sew from the in and from the outside. There you go. 1, 2, 3, and our spine piece. So let's make sure this is top. I'm starting with number 3. So let me see. Oh, yeah, the template still in there. This is top also. You want to make sure you're sewing your signatures the right way up and in right order. I always double and triple check this because, like I told a friend, sewing in the signatures upside down is my specialty. We are going to be needing a needle for this. Let's see, that's enough, yeah. And then of course thread. I'm using one thread for every signature. You could also use a long thread and then just sew them all together, so you will have only one knot at the beginning and one knot at the end, and you could combine this to actually only one single knot, but no, I'm not going to do this. It always ends up with knots in the thread for me. So for the 5-hole pamphlet stitch we need a little tail and 1, 2, 3, 4 times the height of the signature, spine, whatever, and again a tail. Cut this off here. There, you see. And then depends on where you want to throw your knot. At the inside of the signature or the outside. Let's see, I'm going with the outside of the signature. This means I have to start from the outside. Let me mark this again. So we have signature 1, 2, 3, which means we have 3, 2, 1 when sewing from the outside, because yeah, I'm starting with signature 3 and actually starting in the middle. First pulling my thread through the spine piece, and then I'll clip this on so I can pull a bit, like So, and now still having the paper clips at the sheets, and now I'm going to sew in from the outside of my signature to the inside through the middle hole. Trying to find, yeah, my poked hole. Just slightly pulling through. Then I'm finding the hole below the middle hole. You could also make this upwards, doesn't matter. Pulling my thread through to the outside and again through the spine piece. Come on. And pulling it the tiniest bit tight. So. Carefully, not to rip your paper. And then again, the bottom hole back to the inside and through the bottom hole of your signature back to the inside of your signature. This is my least favorite camera part because my eyes are way too far away from the paper. Pulling through. So again, we've started at the middle hole, pulled the thread to the inside, the next hole underneath, sewed to the outside, then the bottom hole sewed to the inside again. So now we are going back up. Again, the second hole from the bottom, and when putting our needle through, we have to be very, very careful not to sew through this piece and the thread on the back. So everything will be movable, and I've stitched through it because I can't see what I'm doing. There. And back again. There I do have a knot. No, I don't. It's only very thick here. Carefully pulling. And I'm not going back to the middle hole because we already do have a loop here. Leaving out the middle hole and sewing in through the second hole from the top. Also through the signature. And then back through the top hole. I can't see it because of the pattern. There it is. And also back through the spine piece. And now we're going back from the outside to the inside through the second hole from the top, carefully not to sew through the thread that's already there. And of course, the last stitch will be back through the middle hole. Okay, actually you could have used just 3 times the spine length. This has been a bit much. So now I'm making sure the loops are all tight. This is my last loop. Of course it is not tight yet. There you go. Yeah. Taking off the needle and the paper clip. And now I do have both ends on one side of this long thread piece. So I'm just taking my thread, bringing it under the long thread to the other side, making my first knot. Not too tight because you don't want to rip the spine piece or the paper. Second knot. And I like to make a third knot just to be on the safe side. So cutting the ends somewhere over here, keeping this. So now I do have the knot on the back side of the spine piece there. If we have started on the front between the signature pages, we would have had the tail here, and I wouldn't have cut the ends that short. I would have just made the knot and leave the tails hanging, so you can decorate your journal with some jewelry or whatnot, paper dangles later on. I'm doing the same for signature 2 and 1, and then I'll be back. All the signatures are sewed onto the spine piece from the outside to the outside, and we do have this there overlap, I'd say. This is what we're using to glue onto the book cover, and we still have here the pages overlapping somehow. Some are longer, some are shorter. Actually, I would love to let it be like so, but these book pages are really, really fragile because they're very old. You know what? I like the look of this, so I'm just going to reinforce these edges. Now, of course, there are many methods to reinforce these edges, these book page edges. You could use, don't know, decorative papers. You could use washi tape, even fabric, thin fabric. Just glue over maybe some printer paper and then put a pocket on here. You could also use this very smooth masking tape for this, maybe not that wide. Or what I like to use is medical tape. I pull this out of our first aid kits from the car when we have to exchange them, of course. But what I'm gonna be doing, always keep this until your journal is finally finished. What I'm gonna be doing is I'm trying to make this sort of like the restorers in museums and whatnot do it. Just use some really fine paper. They are using Chinese tissue paper for this. I'm just using what I do have at home. So this is a piece of a wrapping from a pair of shoes, I think. Yeah. And this is pattern paper. What I like about this is this has no direction. You can rip it and it will always be crooked in any direction. So this means this is much more sturdy than, let's say, writing paper or copy paper. When you rip your copy paper, your newspaper, whatever, let's see, yeah, there, you have a straight tear line. When I rip it this side, there, see the difference, this and this. So also these papers do have a direction, this has not. So I'm just reinforcing my edges with some pieces. Where to start? Of my old sewing patterns. Marked where the strips are going to be glued on. Let me get this out of the way. There you go. I've prepared some methyl cellulose mix. My soft brush, this is really important. My soft brush is not quite damp, nearly dry. You want to start with a slightly damp brush. So now I'm just putting the methyl cellulose mix on the page, just to the edge of my marking. Trying to put not too much on here. Well, this won't dry that fast, but you don't want to have too much humidity on here. There you go. Folding over the paper because I don't want the glue to be stuck on my tissue piece before I'm folding it over, and positioning my tissue strip at my mark. Rubbing this on. Carefully. Nope. This is the downside of tissue paper. It tends to be a bit, yeah, well, curvy, I'd say. There. Now this has to dry. Or maybe, let's see. I think this could actually work. Trying to just fold this over again from the middle. Yes, I like to make it a bit more difficult for me. Anything else would be boring. No, it wouldn't. But I like the challenge. And this is actually the moment when I can challenge myself. Never done this before. Read of this method many times. And now I actually do have the chance to try this. Love it. Both sides of the reinforcement strip are glued on, and before I continue repairing the edges of the page, I'm going to let this dry, and when it works I'm going to reinforce the other 5 pages. But this looks, yeah, pretty good to me. I'm really pleased with how my reinforcement turned out. So let's see, you can see this is really laying flat on here, even when this will be glued down to the cover there. And then you have kind of a waterfall down here built by the pages. And yeah, the edges of the book pages are pretty sturdy. Like it. I really like it. And there some writing at the edges from the sewing pattern paper. There you have one grunge element. Here I do have one with no print on it. Again, I've turned this over to the left side, so the printing is a bit lighter on here. And here, oh, I love this. I do have some letters and numbers, and this huge 8, maybe I will color this when embellishing the book. On the back side there's also writing, and once again another strip without print. Love it. Now dearies, in the next video we're going to be gluing on the signatures and the end papers for decoration on the inside, and yeah, putting the signatures in. But I've decided I'm not only decorating the inner cover with paper and this piece of cloth. I might shorten this a bit. I don't know yet, because I do want the cloth to be the first layer seen on the inside, or yet more of the second layer, because I've decided to make left and right fold outs for the cover, sort of lapbook fold outs, because let me show you this. First remove the papers. When I put in the book block there, I do have here a gap of about 1 centimeter, not quite a centimeter, and I actually can put something in here, here, and here, with pockets, notepads, tags, journaling cards, whatever you might like. So I'm gonna be deciding what I want to do with my book cover. You can download this from my Ko-fi shop. Link is down below in the description box. And of course the page with the fuzzy cuts and the card too. But again, before printing them out, notice that this sheet is provided in landscape and the ephemera sheet in portrait. Don't forget to subscribe and like, maybe leave a comment, activate the bell so you will be noticed when the next video is uploaded. And as always, have fun creating, maybe with the freebies. Be excellent to each other, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!